Are you kidding me right now? Dismiss. What's up, Noah? What you been up to, bud? I gotta get it out of my channel. Hold on a minute. Hmm. What's up, Cassie? What's up? Yeah, I had to come off for a little bit. I had to take a break, Cass. How you been? Shout out to the 4 people in the chat already. Appreciate it, guys. I'll only be live till Ernie comes on, and then I gotta get to bed so I can get up to go to a job interview tomorrow. Well, later today at 11. I gotta be there at 11. I just got done watching Monday Night Raw. Oh, well, I don't know if my. Oops. What's up, Skinner? What's going on, girl? I'm going good, going good. I had to take a break from going live on YouTube for a little bit. I had to do it since my last live stream. Yeah, I just been trying to get my fucking money out of YouTube, Skinner. It's stressing me out, man. I got fucking 800 and almost $900 sitting in my YouTube account and I can't get it out. I've tried every fucking way to get it out of there and I can't get it out of there. Yeah, he fucking really does. Look, look. Hold on. And I and in there for months, man. Ever since I've been monetized. Come on, man. I'm almost at 1,100 subscribers. I need like 8 more subscribers and I'm at 1,100. Shout out to 3 people in the chat. Appreciate you guys. Look, that's how much money's in my account. What's up, Lucy? That's how much money's in my account right now. That's how much I fucking got in there. Oh, I'm 6 away now. I gained 2 more subscribers. Hmm. I'm doing good. Yeah, I'll only be live until Ernie comes on. Only be live until like whenever he comes on. I'm doing good. Take care. What's up, bud? I'm just gonna be on until Ernie comes on. I promised Ernie I'd go live tonight. Sorry it's so quiet. Everybody's sleeping here. Haven't been that long. Oh, I'm sorry, Skinner, man. I was busy. I was busy. After I got off my live, I freaking went right to sleep. I apologize for that. Okay, I got you. No problem. Oh, you did the one on your side? What was the one going on your side? I forgot. Shout out to the 4 people in the chat. Appreciate you guys. What was the one on your side? I totally forgot. Oh, shoot. I forgot. My bad. How's everybody's week? How did everybody's weekend go? I know it's already Tuesday, but hope it went well. Ah, now that's fucked up for sure. That is messed up. For real. Shout out to the 5 people in chat. Appreciate you guys. Whoever's in the bushes, appreciate it. Let's talk for a little bit, man. What's going on, guys? I'll go back to that in a minute. You see what it is? This is the full picture of it, guys. Oh yeah, I would have. I would have done that in the first place. Definitely would have done it in the first place. You guys can give me a like if you can. Oh, this was yeah. They got a Top Gun 2 movie coming out, I think. Oh, shit, I wouldn't after her doing that shit. Fuck no, I wouldn't either. Nowhere in hell I would go back to her. Thank you. Because I'm a nice person when I want to be. No, no, it don't bug me. See what that does to that. Yeah, I remember that. I don't even know why an artist would do that though. Their job is their only thing to do is to do the design you want. Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying though. That's what I'm saying. It's kind of she shouldn't have done that. That's so unprofessional. Yeah. I don't know. That's Trish. I mean Skinner. That's Trish. She's like right behind me, like a couple feet behind me. Shout out to the 3 people in the chat. Appreciate you guys. Yeah. There's a cat down there with her too. Yep. He just went live, didn't he? This motherfucker, man. 85 seconds ago, and I've been on for 20 minutes. Oh man, that's crazy. Nah, I can't do that. No. I'm gone. Yeah. Yeah, for some people, but not for like people like us, though.
Because the gate was near a steading that had fallen to the blight. There are 2 or 3 gates lost in the blight as it is. But she wrote that it was very difficult and required 13 Aes Sedai working together with a Sa'an Grial. Another attempt she wrote of, by only 9 during the
Oh yeah, yeah,
was
for that, yeah,
in such a way
for sure.
that the Aes Sedai were pulled into. He cut off, ears wriggling with embarrassment, and knuckled his wide nose. Everyone was staring at him. Hey, Dmans, how you doing? I do let myself be carried away sometimes. Hope you're doing well, bro. Yes. Let's try to show you my mom got me this to hold some of the smaller ones in. They will die. He grimaced at the thought. The only means of opening the gate again would be for the elders to bring the talisman of the things that put him in. Though I suppose an Aes Sedai could put a hole in it. This time he shut it. Damaging the way gate must have seemed like tearing up a book to him. A moment later, he was grim.
I guess you got a handle so you can carry it too.
I will go now. No, Baron said sharply. The arrowhead seemed to throb, but it did not really hurt anymore. He was talking too much. His throat was dry. There are Trollocs up there, Loyal. They can fit an ogier into a cook pot as well as a human. But Baron, No, Loyal. How are you going to write your book if you go off and get yourself killed? Loyal's ears twitched. It is my responsibility, Baron. The responsibility.
Hell yeah, Dmans.
You told me what you were doing with the Waygate, and I didn't suggest anything.
I'm money tomorrow.
Besides,
Just today, my back's killing me.
I don't want her coming after me. I will go as soon as Alana heals this arrow.
I guess it doesn't help that I'm sitting on the floor right now.
And frowned at his hand. Still no sweat. Can I
Yeah, it's okay. Just me and you.
My mom and my aunt into doing some diamond art.
He's burning up.
They put him out pretty quick.
You must. I am.
Oh, are you?
The dark eyes.
Let me put it on my TV. I got my TV right there, so let's put you on, bro.
Baron felt the tingle of the power before Lana's hand replaced my ears.
They just sit in here and go to sleep sometimes, Skinner.
Carry him into the kitchen.
My life tonight might be on the shorter side just because I'm hurting today.
And abruptly he realized Loyal had leaned his axe beside the door and picked him up, cradling him in his arms. The Waygate is mine, Loyal.
But my back's never been in the best shape.
My responsibility.
I've had 2 surgeries on my back, like 5 or 6 spinal taps. And a while back I had, it was called
Me and you can talk.
bacterial meningitis. I had an infection in my spinal fluid.
Mistress Alvier looked worried too.
So yeah, my back is pretty much shot.
Mother says I can come and be apprenticed to Master Lucan.
So I got like a scar like about that long going all the way across my back, 2 of them.
He was lying on something hard, listening to a
I see that. Nice.
Barbs are caught on bone as well as flesh, and the arrowhead is twisted.
Oh, you got died in a somewhat framed?
No. It's my light. It's my light.
That's what it looks like.
Yeah, it's my light. If you look.
There is no other way. He is near the brink now. Nothing to do with him. Bail smiled down at him nervously, her face upside down. Had he really once thought her mouth was too wide? That's right. He wanted to touch her cheek, but Mistress Alvier and Mistress Lucan were holding his wrists for some reason, leaning with all their weight.
No, I was talking to somebody else on another live stream.
Loyal's big hand
We always do this. We listen to each other.
flat to the table. Yes, the kitchen table. Lie down, my heart, Bail said from far away. It will hurt. He wanted to ask her what would hurt, but she was pressing a leather-wrapped stick into his mouth. He smelled the leather and the spicewood and her. When she
You're good.
him, running across the endless grassy
I definitely like the pen you're using, D-Man.
icy cold shivered through him.
Yeah, that's it's a rosin pen. I got a bunch of them.
There was pain. He heard the stick snap between his teeth before blackness covered.
I got like, there's that one, there's these ones. I got 5 of them, bro.
Aaron opened his eyes slowly, staring
Yeah, I got
at
5
the
of them.
white plastered ceiling. It took a moment to realize he was in a 4-posted bed, lying on a feather mattress with a blanket over him and a goose-down pillow under his head. A myriad of scents danced in his nose: the feathers and the wool of the blanket, the goose roasting, bread and honey cakes baking. One of the wine spring inns rooms, with unmistakable bright morning light.
I just told him.
The white curtained windows. Morning. He fumbled at his side. Unbroken skin met his fingers, but he felt weaker than at any time since being shot. A small enough price, though, and a fair enough exchange. His throat.
Hell yeah, D-Man. Tell her I said hi too.
When he moved, Bahia leaped
I
up
can
from the
see
chair
your
beside
stream
his
going
side.
right now. I just don't see that chat. You got all kinds of nice
She
little
had
chains
changed
to
to a
it, man.
darker, narrow-skirted riding dress. Wrinkles in the gray silk said she had slept in that chair. Alana said you needed sleep, she said. He reached toward the white picture on the small table beside the bed, and she.
I only really use these two right here, bro. These are the only two that I really
You
use.
need to stay right
A
here.
6, a 4, a 3, and a single. That's
Till
it.
you have your strength back. The words sounded normal.
Oh, you're welcome.
except
You heard.
for an undercurrent.
Oh, shit, nice. I might have to look for some of those.
Yeah, they're on Temu.
What is wrong? She replaced the cup carefully on the bedside table and smoothed her dress. Nothing was wrong. The thought.
Yeah, they got sets of them on Temu, bro.
Rael, don't lie to me. I do not lie, she snapped. I will have some breakfast brought up to you. And you're lucky I do that, calling me Fael.
Did you
He said her name is sternly.
you like the rainbow one?
And she hesitated.
You know that wrestling was up in Canada tonight, yesterday night, Skinner.
He met her gaze straight on. She was not going to get away with any fine lady.
Shout out to the 5 people in the chat. Appreciate you guys.
At last, she sighed. I suppose you have a right to know. But you are still staying in that bed until Alana and I say you can get out. Loyal and Gall are gone. Gone? He blinked in confusion. What do you mean, gone? Left? In a way. The sentries saw them go. This morning, at first light. Trotting off into the westwood together. None of them thought anything of it. Certainly none tried to stop them, and Ogier and I you. I heard of it less than an hour ago.
KDXO, what's up,
They
Key?
were talking about trees, Perry. About how the Ogier.
Thank you, sweetie. Appreciate it.
Trees, Perrin growled.
No, Top Gun.
Waygate.
From Top Gun.
Bernie,
Kitty.
I told him not to.
Yes, Top Gun.
They'll get themselves killed before they reach it.
Yes,
Throwing off
ma'am.
the blanket, he swung his legs over the side of the bed, wobbling to his feet. He had nothing on, he realized, not even his small clothes. But if they expected to keep him caged under
How was
the
your
blanket,
weekend?
they were sadly mistaken. He could see everything folded neatly on the tall back chair by the door, with his boots beside it and his axe hanging from its belt to a peg on the wall. Stumbling to his clothes, he began dressing as quickly as he could. What are you doing? Fire demanded. You put yourself back in that bed. One fist on her hip, she pointed commandingly, as if her finger could transport him there. They can't have gotten that far, he told her. Not a foot. Gall won't ride, and Loyal always did claim he trusted his own feet more than any horse. I can catch them up on Stepper by midday latest. Pulling his shirt over his head, he left it hanging loose over his breeches and sat down. Dropped, actually, to draw on his boots. You are mad, Pernebara. What chance you can even find them in that forest? I'm not so bad at tracking myself. I can find them. He smiled at her, but she was not having any. You can get yourself killed, you hairy fool. Look at you. You can hardly stand. You would fall out of the saddle before you had gone a mile. Hiding the effort involved, he
Alright, I'm gonna call into this live for tonight. I'm just not doing too good tonight. My back's killing me. I thought I'd get on for a little bit and see what's up to everyone, but definitely paying for it now. I want to thank everyone for stopping by. Everyone continues to stop by. I definitely appreciate all y'all's support. Until next time, everyone, y'all stay safe out there.
I probably not. He's a good dude, though.
Where you going, girl?
So, guys, you want to see our new kitty? You guys want to see our new kitty cat? Here, I'm gonna show you the new kitty cat. Where's she at, babe? Give me kitty cat. Give me Huntress. Come here, Huntress, kitty. Come here, baby. Hi, little lovey girl. Hi, baby. There's our baby. Say hi, Huntress. Say hi to them. Say hi. Say hi, baby. Say hi. All right, I will. Thank you. Look at that little yawn. Yeah, window that small. We rescued her from outside. We rescued her from outside. Didn't we, Huntress? We rescued you from outside, didn't we, baby girl? Say hi, everybody. Say hi, everybody. Say hi, everybody. Oh, say hi, everybody. Yearly checkup Thursday? Wow. Say hi, baby. She hasn't seen a vet since 2019. Wow. Did that yawn again. Did that yawn again. Hi, baby. I love you, girl. Huntress. Hi, cutie. Yeah, that's going to cost a lot of dang money, though. Hi, Huntress, baby.
Is she going to sleep?
She was, until I moved. And then they yawn again. That's 3 times already. Third time the charm on it. Oh, look at you. Now you're going to try to move, huh? Oh, wow, really? Hi, honey. Oh, hi, beautiful. Say hi to everybody. Say hi, everybody. Say hello, like you did in the video. That's number 4. That's yawn number 4. Come here, baby. Come here. She probably did, especially catching herself on the shelf. Hi, hi. Aww. Aww. It does. I'm pretty sure it does. You can tell by her face, the way her face looks. She probably got Siamese in her. She got Siamese in her. She's a cutie pie. She's one of the ones from outside. Yeah. Hi, cutie. That's number 5. My cutie. My cutie. My God, if you can hear this cat purring. Man, I wish you guys can hear this cat purring right now. She fell asleep. She fell asleep like this.
She fell asleep like that in my arms too.
She fell asleep. My baby. Oh, let's get that dirty stuff off your face. Let's get that dirty stuff off your face. We ain't had a cat like this in forever, guys. That's so playful. What? My baby. What you doing, girl? She's purring so hard.
She purrs all the time.
She's purring hard as hell right now. Her body's like. Shout out to the 5 people in chat. Oh, what's the matter, cutie? Hey. Hey, pretty beautiful girl. Beautiful girl.
I could hear her.
You can hear it from way over there?
Yes.
Oh my God.
She's purring big time.
So it says she's purring heavy. She's purring heavy. Oh wow. Now you got us yawning. You got us yawning, little shit. What you doing? What you doing? Oh, you licking my finger. You licking my finger. You caught me. You caught me. You caught me. Yeah. Yeah. You're licking my finger. There ain't nothing on my finger. Ain't nothing on my finger. Okay, it's right here.
Hey, we
What
should
she
name.
just,
Hey, we should name her Batgirl.
Batgirl.
Yeah,
What do you mean?
like for her eyes.
No. Morning, Daniel. She's our baby girl.
Come on. Oh, come on. Come on.
Look, she's down there now.
Come on. Huntress. Wait a minute. You got the plastic right here.
Oh,
Huntress. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. What you doing? Hey. Hey.
she wants down. Let her go. Don't force her to stay.
Hey.
If you don't want to stay,
No,
don't
no,
force
no.
her to stay.
Where you going? You better not pee on here.
Where's the... Put her over there on
They're
that.
right here.
Yeah, put her on that, though. So she'll know. What's up, Vince?
Come here. Hey, yo. Hey. 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 Hello. Hey. No.
Get her. No.
Hey. Hey, you little fart. No. Hey. 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 Hey.
Skinner said hello.
Hi.
She's trying to get the cat. The cat looks like it's trying to go somewhere to go to the
It
bathroom.
was going to. Here. Go right here. What? Hey. Uh-oh.
Where'd it go?
Underneath.
Oh, don't tell me she went all the way back behind there to go to the bathroom.
No, she's on the box.
Come
This
on.
is what we need to do. Put it over there. She wants to go over there.
Put it
Put
back.
her over there. She don't want to be around people. You want to go on the floor? Go on the floor.
Now you're not going to want to go on it, right? Awesome cat. Appreciate it,
Hey,
Vince.
hey, don't go too. Oh my
Oops,
God.
too late. Oh, no, you better get it back on there. There you go. Good girl. Good girl. There she goes. Oh, she's going on it. Going on it.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe not.
You want to put the other one over there?
No, because I got to go out the door, so you're going to have to get her.
Oh.
I got to use the bathroom.
Scratch, 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 scratch. Scratch, 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 scratch. Hey, oh, no, 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 no. But you better. Oh my goodness. No, 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 no. Go here. Go here. You hear the owl? Where you going? Where you going? Where you going? Tell him hurry up. Where'd it go? Dad, you ain't going out there. No, you ain't. Oh my goodness. You took my water.
I did. I'm putting it in the Kool-Aid.
Give me where you think you're going to the bathroom?
How's everybody doing tonight? Shout out to the 4 people that are in the chat still. Thank you all for the likes, the 4 likes. I know Roughneck went live after I did. But it's okay.
Where you going?
Hey, you want to put these out there? Oh, here, I'll put it right there. How does it taste with the water added to it?
Now you want to play.
That's all she wants to do.
I don't know. You're supposed to go to the bathroom. Not play on it.
Where do I get my diamond art? I get my diamond art on Temu, Sheen. What other ones, babe? Do we get
Timu mostly.
Temu? We get them off of Temu mostly, Vince. Mostly get them off of Temu. Well, her cousin does, and Cassie does. Cassie gets them off of a ton of other places, but her cousin gets them off of
And I
Temu.
got him. I still
He
got
gets them for all 3 of us, really. I'm getting another couple, what, 2 from him?
Yeah, from me.
From you?
Yeah.
And then we got to get $20. I got 3 of them sitting in my cart on Temu on the phone. It's like, no, it's actually $2 off of the order, so it's like down to 18 something.
Just for you?
No, it's what you had in there, and then I put 2 more in there, and it came up to like 20 something, and then they had like,
What I had in there.
yeah, you had something in there. I can't show you now because I'm using the phone, but her cousin got me this one. This one's gonna go for like $70.
I'm put you on this thing. I don't need you going to the bathroom on a freaking.
Just you're not going already? You're gonna try and you crazy fuck. You're a crazy fuck for real. Are you really tickling the cat like that? Are you really?
I'm not tickling her. I'm just rubbing her tummy.
This cat really loves when you pet his belly. Really, she really does.
You're gonna fight with me now. Hey, put it on the kitten.
All right, Vince, I'll see you later, bub. All right, I'm putting it back over here now. Hope everybody's Monday went well. You got it last time.
Really, Billy? Aw, that's so cute. That's so cute. It's so cute.
All right, I'll make sure I do after my interview. I'll call you about in the afternoon sometime, Skinner, because I got to go to the interview at 11 in the morning. It's a new restaurant that's coming up out here where I live. So it'll be like in the afternoon, my time. Oh, you're welcome. Okay, now I can listen to.
So she's part Siamese then.
Yeah, I knew that.
So she ain't none of our cats over.
She ain't none of she ain't none of ours for
She
sure.
ain't none of the cats. Well, I don't know where you were born from then.
Well, that's what I'm saying. She could have been from Whitey Girl.
Whitey Girl's was never pregnant.
Chapter 3 of Cleopatra. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Cleopatra by Jacob Abbott. Chapter 3. Alexandria. Internal administration of the Ptolemies, industry of the people, its happy effects, idleness the parent of vice, an idle aristocracy generally vicious, degradation and vice, employment a cure for both, greatness of Alexandria, situation of its port, warehouses and granaries, business of the port, scenes within the city, the natives protected in their industry, public edifices, the lighthouse, fame of the lighthouse, its conspicuous position, mode of lighting the tower, modern method, the architect of the pharaohs, his ingenious stratagem, ruins of the pharaohs, the Alexandrian library, immense magnitude of the library, the Serapion, the Serapis of Egypt, the Serapis of Greece, Ptolemy's dream, importance of the statue, Ptolemy's proposal to the king of Sinope, his ultimate success, mode of obtaining books, the Jewish scriptures, seclusion of the Jews, interest felt in their scriptures, Jewish slaves in Egypt, Ptolemy's designs, Ptolemy liberates the slaves, their ransom paid, Ptolemy's success, the Septuagint, early copies of the Septuagint, present copies, various other plans of the Ptolemies, means of raising money, heavy taxes, poverty of the people, ancient and modern capitals, liberality of the Ptolemies, splendor and renown of Alexandria, her great rival. It must not be imagined by the reader that the scenes of vicious indulgence and reckless cruelty and crime, which were exhibited with such dreadful frequency, and carried to such an enormous excess in the palaces of the Egyptian kings, prevailed to do the same extent throughout the mass of the community during the period of their reign. The internal administration of government and the institutions by which the industrial pursuits of the mass of the people were regulated, and peace and order preserved, and justice enforced between man and man, were all this time in the hands of men well qualified, on the whole, for the trusts committed to their charge, and in a good degree faithful in the performance of their duties. And thus the ordinary affairs of government and the general routine of domestic and social life went on, notwithstanding the profligacy of the kings, in a course of very tolerable peace, prosperity, and happiness. During every one of the 300 years over which the history of the Ptolemies extends, the whole length and breadth of the land of Egypt exhibited, with comparatively few interruptions, one widespread scene of busy.
Hey, Summer Ernie, what's up, bud?
The inundations came at their appointed season, and
What's
then
going on, man?
regularly retired. The boundless.
How you been? How was your day yesterday after you got home from work? Oh, hey, that dude that came in your chat, yesterday morning that we blocked, dude, I know where that fucking dude came from, man. I know where he came from because after he went in your live, he fucking went live, man. He was live after you went and took a nap. Okay, that dude that came in your chat that we blocked, he went live after you did, bro. And then I went to his chat and I said something to him, and there was a dude named Muscle Man in there. If you do remember Muscle Man when Muscle Man was messing with me, what's up, text guy? When Muscle Man was messing with me, it was one of his people, bro, and he tried to tell him that I'm a stalker. I haven't even said this dude's name in 2 years, man, and he's over there talking shit about me in that dude's stream.
Where you going? No, you ain't. No, no, no. Hey, where you going? No. Try to go that way.
Where is she?
Right there.
Get over here. Get over here, little shit.
Oh,
over there by
my
mama.
goodness.
Get over there by mama. Run your ass to sleep. Yeah, bro. He was over there talking shit about me. Muscle Man was over there talking shit about me, saying that I was a stalker. I'm not worried about it, bro. I'm not worried about it. I need to keep his name out of my mouth because
You already have for a long time.
I know for a long time till I saw him over there in that other chat talking about me, but I'm still going to keep his name out of my mouth. So I don't give him no reason to start his shit again.
Going? Where you going? Where you going? Where you going? Go on there. Go up to the shoulder. Go walk the thing.
I stay live until he goes live anyway, text guy.
Whoa, where you going?
I got a job interview tomorrow, guys, at 11 a.m.
Today.
Well, today at 11 a.m.
Oh, where you going? Hey, I can't. Oh, my.
Get up and get her, babe. Get up and get her. Hurry up.
Just,
Get up and get her. She's just walking around. You better hurry up and get it before she goes all the way under.
oh, you want to play with plastic? Here. Come here. Go play with plastic. Oh, no, you ain't.
What is she doing?
No, you're not. Nope. You're trying your hardest.
Yeah, and then that's his way of getting content too, Ernie. And the funny thing, dude, the dude had 199,000 subscribers, bro. The dude had 199,000 subscribers coming into your chat, bro, talking shit. I went to his channel. He got content on his channel. He does. But it is what it is, man. And he got blocked. He got blocked for being fucking stupid. This is his own fault. That's the sad thing, actually, that he had 199,000 people and fucking coming to other people's talking shit. got 199,000 drama people, man.
Where you going? Where you going? Yo. You can't get in. But you can't get up there. Where you going?
Away from you, she said.
No, now you're gonna play with your freaking tail.
Exactly. Exactly. But not that. But not that type of people, man. Came in the chat to try to look for those type of people. He stepped in the wrong chat doing that.
Oh, come here. Oh, here. Where are you going?
Well, this is the one that I'm doing, guys. This is the one I'm doing right here.
Look at her.
What's up, Angel?
Look.
All right, brother. Appreciate it, man.
Where you going?
Look at this, guys. Look at this. Hold on. Let it go. Let it go.
You better not be peeing right there. Oh, crap.
Too late.
I just washed that freaking blanket. Oh, my God.
Oh,
You gotta
yeah.
pee on the plastic, not on freaking the...
Oh, my gosh, man. You have to teach it.
Oh. You did.
You knew that's what she was doing by the way she was sitting.
Hey, where you going? Hey, no.
I'm gonna have to get a little cage for her. We can take one out of the cage and put her in it. Appreciate it, Angel. Angel, hey, did your wife get your You're scaring the shit out of it. Look at that. Why is this moving like that? Ernie's half asleep. Did your wife fix the diamond art with the did she fix your diamond art yet for the one that I sent you? Did she fix it? Because if she didn't, not yet. Okay, don't tell her. Don't try to find any diamonds for it. I found the extra diamonds for that one, so I'm gonna send them to you, Angel. I got the extra diamonds. I found them. I kept them, and I found them. I found them the other day. So if I can get those to you, she can use the diamonds that go to it. Actually, where is? Okay. They're in here. They're in here with all my extra diamonds. I got your name on them. I think Angel. Now I gotta find them again. Hold on, let me find them again. Here's the extra. Here's yours. Here's your extra diamonds for that one. So I have them right here. I just gotta send them to you. Getting in your Mario
You
Kart.
little.
Yeah. What you doing there, little one? Better not be getting into anything.
No, it's plain.
She playing on the thing she should have went pee on?
Ernie said, look, read up.
Read up. Hold on. Hold on, what is that? Yeah, you're waiting on Lenore's package to get there? You know, it have scratch offs in it? What state is she from? What state is Lenore from? I can't remember. We gotta send him $5 in so I can get into that damn challenge this month at the end of the month. I have to the end of the month. But I got to the 18th to get the. I got to 8. We got to the 8. She's from Australia. She's got Australia lottery tickets coming.
Who is?
Ernie. That's where that went. No wonder why I couldn't find it. That's for yours, babe, not mine.
Nope.
Oh.
It's not for mine.
It's an extra one. Is it the one that got the hole? Yep, this is the one that got the hole in it.
It probably was for the one that's now done.
Yep. So she can play with it. Dang, how long did it take for you to get it? Shout out to the 7 people in the chat. Appreciate you guys. We're going to stay live until Ernie comes on, guys. I got a job interview this morning at 11 a.m. So after Ernie comes on, I'm going to put Ernie on my TV and let it run.
Per?
My bad. I was coughing. I was coughing at the same time I said that. Couple weeks. That's not bad. That's not bad. For sure, that's not bad. Let me get you when you get a chance to get over there. That's not bad
What
at all.
are you doing? Oh my goodness. She don't know what she's doing.
She don't know what she wants to attack.
No, look at she's just playing and playing and playing.
Oh, that's cool. That's nice of you to do that, bro. That's nice of her to send you stuff. Although, I mean, I've gotten stuff sent in from Australia before.
Oh yeah, we have.
Man, that shit don't cost cheap though, Ernie. I'll tell you that right now, bro. Man, I can show you the fucking box that somebody sent me from Australia
If you can find it.
and how much it cost for shipping, bro. The shipping the box that I got with the stuff that I got, it cost her $38.50 in US for shipping, dude. From Australia to the United States, bro. It costs, you know Billy Wombat, Ernie.
Keep going.
Ernie knows Billy Wombat. I got mine sent from Billy Wombat. Oh, you done sent them before? Yeah, so you know then.
Where you going? Come here. We need to take it easy on that one.
Yeah.
Where you going? Did Ernie see our kitten?
No, I don't think he's seen it. Bring it here. Bring it here. You guys want to see the kitten, the new baby kitten?
It just came up to the house.
Come here. Come here, you. There's the baby girl, Huntress. Trish named her Huntress. Hi, baby. Hi, baby. Huntress. They want to see you again, girl. Look, say hi to the TV. Say hi to the to the phone.
We need to get a kitten that we can name Ernie and no, we don't. Not so many of them.
Ernie and Judy.
Florida Profit Hunter comes.
Look at him. Look at him. You've fallen asleep already. No, you're not. No, you're not. I know that trick. That's just a trick. That's a trick you do. No. Say hi, everybody. Hi, everybody.
It's got a cut underneath the eye. That's. You see it? By the eye.
Mm-hmm.
But it's part Siamese.
Yeah, it's person. What's up, Anthony? Your wife hates cats. Aw. What's up, Anthony? How you doing, bud? Hey, baby. Oh my God, if you can hear her
Purring.
purring right now. You're doing okay. Good to hear that, bro. Shout out to the 5 people.
She's falling asleep in your arms.
Mm.
She was doing that to me yesterday or last night. She's falling asleep.
She laid on my chest the other morning in the fucking for 2.5 hours. We slept together.
But between the 2.5 hours, I was sleeping, but then I wake up checking up on her.
Mm-hmm. And she was laying right there on my chest.
And you thought, and there's one time you thought that she passed away. I was like, she did not. No, she was only sleeping.
Fields which the waters had fertilized
Oh,
were
you're
then
really gonna go to
everywhere
sleep now.
tilled. The lands were plowed, the seed was sown, the canals and water
Say hi to
courses,
everybody.
which ramified from the river in every direction over the ground, were opened or closed as the case required, to regulate the irrigation. The inhabitants were busy, and consequently they were virtuous. And as the sky of Egypt is seldom or never
Hey,
darkened
Brown Bear.
with
What's up,
clouds
Brown
and
Bear? How you doing?
storms, the scene presented to the eye the same unchanging aspect of smiling verdure and beauty,
Go
day
by Mama now.
after
I
day,
guess Cassie
and
just
month
appeared.
after
Kid, go
month,
by Mama.
until the ripened
Here.
grain was gathered into the storehouses, and the land was cleared for another
Come here,
inundation. We say that the people were virtuous because they were busy, for there is no principle of political economy more fully established than that vice in the social state is the incident and symptom of idleness. It prevails always in those classes of every great population who are either released
She
by the
either falls
possession
asleep
of
in your
fixed and
arms
unchangeable
and
wealth from
gets
the
up when she
necessity.
comes down here.
This is Cleopatra. The book Alexandria. This is chapter 3, Alexandria. But it's Cleopatra is what we're listening to, guys. So you guys know what you're listening to. It's Cleopatra.
Or excluded by their
Chapter
poverty
3.
and degradation
You only missed
from
2
the
chapters of
advantage
it.
of useful employment. Wealth that is free and subject to its possessor's control, so that he can, if he will, occupy himself in the management of it, while it sometimes may make individuals vicious, does not generally corrupt classes of men, for it does not make them idle. But wherever the institutions of a country are such as to create an aristocratic class, whose incomes depend
You're doing
on
good. Good to
entailed
hear that. Good to
estates,
hear that.
or on fixed and permanent annuities, so that the capital on which they live cannot afford them any mental occupation, they are doomed necessarily to inaction and idleness. Vicious pleasure and
Hope you've been doing
indulgences
well,
are,
Brown
with
Bear.
such a class as a whole, the inevitable result. For the innocent enjoyments of man are planned and designed by the author of nature, only for the intervals of rest and repose in a life of activity. They are always found wholly insufficient to satisfy one who makes pleasure the whole end and aim of his being. In the same manner, if either from the influence of the social institutions of a country, or from the operation of natural causes which human power is unable to control, there is a class of men too low and degraded and miserable to be reached by the ordinary inducements to daily toil, so certain are they to grow corrupt and depraved, that degradation has become in all languages a term almost synonymous with vice. There are many exceptions, it is true, to these general laws. Many active men are very wicked, and there have been frequent instances of the most exalted virtue among nobles and kings. Still, as a general law, it is unquestionably true that vice is the incident of idleness, and the sphere of vice, therefore, is at the top and at the bottom of society, those being the regions in which idleness reigns. The great remedy, too, for vice is employment. To make a community virtuous.
Have you guys saw the post that I posted on my community tab
From
about
the highest to the lowest should have something to do.
members? About what they're doing with the members?
We observe that while the most extreme
Posts.
and abominable wickedness seem to hold continual
Now,
absolute sway in the palace.
If you guys go to my community tab and read that, because I posted it on my community tab, it was an email. The email YouTube sent me. I just screenshotted it and posted it to my community tab. Go and read that, man. It's very informational, man. It's very, very fucking informational, man, that a lot of us monetized creators need to read.
Mm.
49ers whooped up on the Jets tonight, man. 36-19 was the score.
She's looking up at you. It sure is.
Oh, oh, didn't mean to hit your nose. I just whacked her in the nose.
Oh, no, you're not. You're going to go to the bathroom right here.
You gonna go through that again? Or no?
You better go over here.
But I'm done with those. Really, Trish?
Hmm?
Really?
What?
Putting Cleopatra back on.
Of the Ptolemies, and among the nobles of their courts, the working ministers of state, and the men on whom the actual governmental functions devolved, discharged their duties with wisdom and fidelity. And throughout all the ordinary ranks and gradations of society, there prevailed generally a very considerable degree of industry, prosperity, and happiness. This prosperity prevailed not only in the rural districts of the Delta and along the valley of the Nile, but also among the merchants and navigators and artisans of Alexandria. Alexandria became, in fact, very soon after it was founded, a very great and busy city. Many things conspire to make it at once a great commercial emporium. In the first place, it was the depot of export for all the surplus grain and other agricultural produce which was raised in such abundance along the Egyptian valley. This produce was brought down in boats to the upper point of the delta, where the branches of the river divided, and thence down to the canopic bridge in the city. The city was not, in fact, situated directly upon this branch, but upon a narrow tongue of land, at a little distance from it, near the sea. It was not easy to enter the channel directly, on account of the bars and sandbanks at its mouth, produced by the eternal conflict between the waters of the river and the surges of the sea. The water was deep, however, as Alexander's engineers had discovered, at the place where the city was built, and by establishing the port there, and then cutting a canal across to the Nile, they were enabled to bring the river and the sea at once into easy communication. The produce of the valley was thus brought down the river and through the canal to the city. Here immense warehouses and granaries were erected for its reception, that it might be safely preserved until the ships that came into the port were ready to take it away. These ships came from Syria, from all the coast of Asia Minor, from Greece, and from Rome.
Shout out to the four
They
people in
brought
the
the
chat.
agricultural productions of their own countries, as well as articles of manufacture of various kinds. These they sold to the merchants of Alexandria, and purchased the productions of Egypt in return. The port of Alexandria presented thus a constant picture of life and animation. Merchant ships were continually coming and going, or lying at anchor in the roadstead.
Only reason why I told you to
Seamen
set up
were
a tent so I
hoisting
can take a
sails,
shower.
or raising anchors, or rowing their capacious galleys through the water, singing, as they pulled, to the motion of the oars. Within the city there was the same ceaseless activity. Here groups of men were unloading the canal boats which had arrived from the river. Their porters were transporting bales of merchandise or sacks of grain from a warehouse to a pier, or from one landing to another, the occasional parading of the king's guards, or the arrival and departure of ships of war to land, or to take away bodies of armed men, were occurrences that sometimes intervened to interrupt, or, as perhaps the people then would have said, to adorn this scene of useful industry. And now and then, for a brief period, these peaceful vocations would be wholly suspended and set aside by a revolt or by a civil war, waged by rival brothers against each other, or instigated by the conflicting claims of a mother and son. These interruptions, however, were comparatively few, and in ordinary cases not of long continuance. It was for the interest of all branches of the royal line to do as little injury as possible to the commercial and agricultural operations of the realm. In fact, it was on the prosperity of those operations that the revenues depended. The rulers were well aware of this, and so however implacably two rival princes may have hated one
Got a
another,
damn motorcycle
and
driving
however
down the damn
desperately
street
each
at
party may have
2:30
struggled
in
to
the damn
destroy
morning,
all
2:40 in the
active
fucking
combatants
morning.
whom they should find in arms against them, they were both under every possible inducement to spare the private property and the lives of the peaceful population. This population, in fact, engaged thus in profitable industry, constituted, with the avails of their labors, the very estate for which the combatants were contending. Seeing the subject in this light, the Egyptian sovereigns, especially Alexander and the earlier Ptolemies, made every effort in their power to promote the commercial greatness of Alexandria. They built palaces, it is true, but they also built warehouses. One of the most expensive and celebrated of all the edifices that they reared was the lighthouse which has been already alluded to. This lighthouse was a lofty tower, built of white marble. It was situated upon the island of Pharos, opposite to the city, and at some distance from it. There was a sort of isthmus of shoals and sandbars connecting the island with the shore. Over these shallows a pier or causeway was built, which finally became a broad and inhabited neck. The principal part of the ancient city, however, was on the mainland. The curvature of the earth requires that a lighthouse on a coast should have a considerable elevation. Otherwise, its summit would not appear above the horizon, unless the mariner were very near. To To attain this elevation, the architects usually take advantage of some hill or cliff or rocky eminence near the shore. There was, however, no opportunity to do this at Pharos, for the island was, like the mainland, level and low. The requisite elevation could only be obtained, therefore, by the masonry of an edifice, and the blocks of marble necessary for the work had to be brought from a great distance. The Alexandrian lighthouse was reared in the time of Ptolemy Philadelphus, the second monarch in the line. No pains or expenses were spared in its construction. The edifice, when completed, was considered one of the 7 wonders of the world. It was indebted for its fame, however, in some degree, undoubtedly to the conspicuousness of its location, rising as it did at the entrance of the greatest commercial emporium of its time, and standing there like a pillar of cloud by day and of fire by night, to attract the welcome gaze of every wandering mariner whose ship came within its horizon, and to awaken his gratitude by tendering him its guidance and dispelling his fears. The light at the top of the tower was produced by a fire made of such combustibles as would emit the brightest flame. This fire burned slowly through the day, and then was kindled up anew when the sun went down, and was continually replenished through the night with fresh supplies of fuel. In modern times, a much more convenient and economical mode is adopted to produce the requisite illumination. A great blazing lamp burns brilliantly in the center of the lantern of the tower, and all that part of the radiation from the flame which would naturally have beamed upward or downward, or laterally, or back toward the land, is so turned by a curious system of reflectors and polyzonal lenses, most ingeniously contrived and very exactly adjusted, as to be thrown forward in one broad and thin but brilliant sheet of light, which shoots out where its radiance is needed, over the surface of the sea. Before these inventions were perfected, far the largest portion of the light emitted by the illumination of lighthouse towers streamed away wastefully in landward directions, or was lost among the stars. Of course, the glory of erecting such an edifice at the Pharos of Alexandria, and of maintaining it in the performance of its functions, was very great. The question might, however, very naturally arise whether this glory was justly due to the architect through whose scientific skill the work was actually accomplished, or to the monarch by whose power and resources the architect was sustained. The name of the architect was Sostratus. He was a Greek. The monarch, as has already been stated, the second Ptolemy, called commonly Ptolemy Philadelphus. Ptolemy ordered that, in completing the tower, a marble tablet should be built into the wall, at a suitable place near the summit, and that a proper inscription should be carved upon it, with his name as the builder of the edifice conspicuous thereon. Sostratus preferred inserting his own name. He accordingly made the tablet and set it in its place. He cut the inscription upon the face of it in Greek characters, with his own name as the author of the work. He did this secretly, and then covered the face of the tablet with an artificial composition made with lime, to imitate the natural surface of the stone. On this outer surface he cut a new inscription, in which he inserted the name of the king. In process of time, the lime moldered away, the king's inscription disappeared, and his own, which thenceforward continued as long as the building endured, came out to view. The Pharos was said to have been 400 feet high. It was famed throughout the world for many centuries. Nothing, however, remains of it now but a heap of useless and unmeaning ruins. Besides the light that beamed from the summit of this lofty tower, there was another center of radiance and illumination in ancient Alexandria, which was in some respects still more conspicuous and renowned, namely, an immense library and museum, established and maintained by the Ptolemies. The museum, which was first established, was not, as its name might now imply, a collection of curiosities, but an institution of learning, consisting of a body of learned men who devoted their time to philosophical and scientific pursuits. The institution was richly endowed, and magnificent buildings were erected for its use. The king who established it began immediately to make a collection of books for the use of the members of the institution. This was attended with great expense, as every book that was added to the collection required to be transcribed with a pen on parchment or papyrus, with infinite labor and care. Great numbers of scribes were constantly employed upon this work at the museum. The kings who were most interested in forming this library would seize the books that were possessed by individual scholars, or that were deposited in the various cities of their dominions, and then, causing beautiful copies of them to be made by the scribes of the museum, they would retain the originals for the great Alexandrian library, and give the copies to the men or the cities that had been thus despoiled. In the same manner they would borrow, as they called it, from all travelers who visited Egypt, any valuable books which they might have in their possession, and retaining the originals, give them back copies instead. In process of time, the library increased to 400,000 volumes. There was then no longer any room in the buildings of the museum for further additions. There was, however, in another part of the city, a great temple called the Serapeum. This temple was a very magnificent edifice, or rather group of edifices, dedicated to the god Serapis. The origin and history of this temple were very remarkable. The legend was this.
All right, Angel, appreciate it, brother.
It seems that one of the ancient and
Take care and be safe, bro.
gods of the Egyptians was a deity named Serapis. He had been, among other divinities, the object of Egyptian adoration ages before Alexandria was built, or the Ptolemies reigned. There was also, by a curious coincidence, a statue of the same name at a great commercial town called Sinope, which was built upon the extremity of a promontory which projected from Asia Minor into the Euxine Sea. Sinope was, in some sense, the Alexandria of the north, being the center and seat of a great portion of the commerce of that quarter of the world. The Serapis of Sinope was considered as the protecting deity of seamen, and the navigators who came and went to and from the city made sacrifices to him, and offered him oblations and prayers, believing that they were, in a great measure, dependent upon some mysterious and inscrutable power which he exercised for their safety in storms. They carried the knowledge of his name and tales of his imaginary interpositions to all the places that they visited, and thus the fame of the god became extended, first to all the coast of the Euxine Sea, and subsequently to distant provinces and kingdoms. The Serapis of Sinope began to be considered everywhere as the tutelar god of seamen. Accordingly, when the first of the Ptolemies was forming his various plans for adorning and aggrandizing Alexandria, he received, he said, one night, a divine intimation in a dream that he was to obtain the statue of Serapis from Sinope, and set it up in Alexandria, in a suitable temple, which he was in the meantime to erect in honor of the god. It is obvious that very great advantages to the city would result from the accomplishment of this design. In the first place, a temple to the god Serapis would be a new distinction for it in the minds of the rural population, who would undoubtedly suppose that the deity honored by it was their own ancient god. Then the whole maritime and nautical interest of the world, which had been accustomed to adore the god of Sinope, would turn to Alexandria as the great center of religious attraction, if their venerated idol could be carried and placed in a new and magnificent temple built expressly for him there. Alexandria could never be the chief naval port and station of the world, unless it contained the sanctuary and shrine of the god of seamen. Ptolemy sent accordingly to the king of Sinope and proposed to purchase the idol. The embassage was, however, unsuccessful. The king refused to give up the god. The negotiations were continued for 2 years, but all in vain. At length, on account of some failure in the regular course of the seasons on that coast, there was a famine there, which became finally so severe that the people of the city were induced to consent to give up their deity to the Egyptians in exchange for a supply of corn. Ptolemy sent the corn and received the idol. He then built the temple, which, when finished, surpassed in grandeur and magnificence almost every sacred structure in the world. It was in this temple that the successive additions to the Alexandrian library were deposited, when the apartments of the museum became full. In the end, there were 400,000 rolls or volumes in the museum, and 300,000 in the Serapeum. The former was called the parent library, and the latter, being, as it were, the offspring of the first, was called the daughter. Ptolemy Philadelphus, who interested himself very greatly in collecting this library, wished to make it a complete collection of all the books in the world. He employed scholars to read and study, and travelers to make extensive tours, for the purpose of learning what books existed among all the surrounding nations. And when he learned of their existence, he spared no pains or expense in attempting to procure either the originals themselves or the most perfect and authentic copies of them. He sent to Athens and obtained the works of the most celebrated Greek historians, and then causing, as in other cases, most beautiful transcripts to be made. He sent the transcripts back to Athens, and a very large sum of money with them as an equivalent for the difference of value between the originals and copies in such an exchange. In the course of the inquiries which Ptolemy made into the literature of the surrounding nations, in his search for accessions to his library, he heard that the Jews had certain sacred writings in their temple at Jerusalem, comprising the minute and extremely interesting history of their nation from the earliest periods, and also many other books of sacred prophecy and poetry. These books, which were in fact the Hebrew scriptures of the Old Testament, were then wholly unknown to all the nations except the Jews, and among the Jews were known only to priests and scholars. They were kept sacred at Jerusalem. The Jews would have considered them as profaned in being exhibited to the view of pagan nations. In fact, the learned men of other countries would not have been able to read them, for the Jews secluded themselves so closely from the rest of mankind that their language was, in that age, scarcely ever heard beyond the confines of Judea and Galilee. Ptolemy very naturally thought that a copy of these sacred books would be a great acquisition to his library. They constituted, in fact, the whole literature of a nation, which was in some respects the most extraordinary that ever existed on the globe. Ptolemy conceived the idea also of not only adding to his library a copy of these writings in the original Hebrew, but of causing a translation of them to be made into Greek, so that they might easily be read by the Greek and Roman scholars who were drawn in great numbers to his capital by the libraries and the learned institutions which he had established there. The first thing to be effected, however, in accomplishing either of these plans, was to obtain the consent of the Jewish authorities. They would probably object to giving up any copy of their sacred writings at all. There was one circumstance which led Ptolemy to imagine that the Jews would, at that time particularly, be averse to granting any request of such a nature coming from an Egyptian king, and that was, that during certain wars which had taken place in previous reigns, a considerable number of prisoners had been taken by the Egyptians, and had been brought to Egypt as captives, where they had been sold to the inhabitants, and were now scattered over the land as slaves. They were employed as servile laborers in tilling the fields, or in turning enormous wheels to pump up water from the Nile. The masters of these hapless bondmen conceived, like other slaveholders, that they had a right of property in their slaves. This was in some respects true, since they had bought them of the government at the close of the war, for a consideration, and though they obviously derived from this circumstance no valid proprietary right or claim as against the men personally, it certainly would seem that it gave them a just claim against the government of whom they bought, in case of subsequent manumission. Ptolemy, or his minister, for it cannot now be known who was the real actor in these transactions, determined on liberating these slaves and sending them back to their native land, as a means of propitiating the Jews and inclining them to listen favorably to the request which he was about to prefer for a copy of their sacred writings. He, however, paid to those who held the captives a very liberal sum for ransom. The ancient historians, who never allow the interest of their narratives to suffer for want of a proper amplification on their part of the scale on which the deeds which they record were performed, say that the number of slaves liberated on this occasion was 120,000, and the sum paid for them as compensation to the owners was 600 talents, equal to $600,000. Begin footnote. It will be sufficiently accurate for the general reader of history to consider the Greek talent referred to in such transactions as these as equal in English money to 250 pounds, in American to $1,000.
Wow.
It is curious to observe that, large as the total was that was paid for the liberation of these slaves, the amount paid for each individual was, after all, only a sum equal to about $5. End of footnote. And yet this was only a preliminary expense to pave the way for the acquisition of a single series of books to add to the variety of the immense collection. After the liberation and return of the captives, Ptolemy sent a splendid embassy to Jerusalem, with very respectful letters to the high priest, and with very magnificent presents. The ambassadors were received with the highest honors. The request of Ptolemy that he should be allowed to take a copy of the sacred books for his library was very readily granted. The priest caused copies to be made of all the sacred writings. These copies were executed in the most magnificent style, and were splendidly illuminated with letters of gold. The Jewish government also, at Ptolemy's request, designated a company of Hebrew scholars, 6 from each tribe, men learned in both the Greek and Hebrew languages, to proceed to Alexandria, and there, at the museum, to make a careful translation of the Hebrew books into Greek. And there were 12 tribes, and 6 translators chosen from each. There were 72 translators in all. They made their translation, and it was called the Septuagint, from the Latin Septuaginta duo, which means 72. Although out of Judea there was no feeling of reverence for these Hebrew scriptures as books of divine authority, there was still a strong interest felt in them as very entertaining and curious works of history by all the Greek and Roman scholars who frequented Alexandria to study at the museum. Copies were accordingly made of the Septuagint translation and were taken to other countries, and there, in process of time, copies of the copies were made, until at length the work became extensively circulated throughout the whole learned world. The priests and monks looked with even a stronger interest than the ancient scholars had felt upon this early translation of so important a portion of the sacred scriptures. They made new copies for abbeys, monasteries, and colleges, and when at length the art of printing was discovered, this work was one of the first on which the magic power of typography was tried. The original manuscript made by the scribes of the 72, and all the early transcripts which were made from it, have long since been lost or destroyed. But instead of them, we have now hundreds of thousands of copies in compact printed volumes, scattered among the public and private libraries of Christendom. In fact, after the lapse of 2,000 years, a copy of Ptolemy's Septuagint may be obtained of any considerable bookseller in any country of the civilized world. And though it required a national embassage and an expenditure, if the accounts are true, of more than $1 million originally to obtain it, it may be procured without difficulty now by 2 days' wages of an ordinary laborer.
Well, where's everybody at?
Besides the building of
Over
the
there by
pharaohs,
Roughneck.
the
I
museum,
told you he
and
went
the
live
temple
after
of
I did.
Serapis, the early Ptolemies formed and
It's okay though,
executed
like I
a
said,
great
I don't
many
care
other
about that.
plans tending to the same ends which the erection of these splendid edifices was designed to secure, namely, to concentrate in Alexandria all possible means of attraction, commercial, literary, and religious, so as to make the city the great center of interest and the common resort for all mankind. They raised immense revenues for these and other purposes by taxing heavily the whole agricultural produce of the valley of the Nile. The inundations, by the boundless fertility which they annually produced, supplied the royal treasuries. Thus the Abyssinian rains, at the sources of the Nile, built the Pharos at its mouth, and endowed the Alexandrian library. The taxes laid upon the people of Egypt to supply the Ptolemies with funds were, in fact, so heavy that only the bare means of subsistence were left to the mass of the agricultural population. In admiring the greatness and glory of the city, therefore, we must remember that there was a gloomy counterpart to its splendor in the very extended destitution and poverty to which the mass of the people were everywhere doomed. They lived in hamlets of wretched huts along the banks of the river, in order that the capital might be splendidly adorned with temples and palaces. They passed their lives in darkness and ignorance, that 700,000 volumes of expensive manuscripts might be enrolled at the museum for the use of foreign philosophers and scholars. The policy of the Ptolemies was, perhaps, on the whole, the best, for the general advancement and ultimate welfare of mankind, which could have been pursued in the age in which they lived and acted. But in applauding the results which they attained, we must not wholly forget the cost which they incurred in attaining them. At the same cost, we could, at the present day, far surpass them. If the people of the United States will surrender the comforts and conveniences which they individually enjoy, if the farmers scattered in their comfortable homes on the hillsides and plains throughout the land will give up their houses, their furniture, their carpets, their books, and the privileges of their children, and then, withholding from the produce of their annual toil only a sufficient reservation to sustain them and their families through the year, in a life like that of a beast of burden, spent in some miserable and naked hovel, send the rest to some hereditary sovereign residing upon the Atlantic seaboard, that he may build with the proceeds a splendid capital. They may have an Alexandria now that will infinitely exceed the ancient city of
Back
the
up to 4
Ptolemies
now.
in splendor and renown. The nation, too, would, in such a case, pay for its metropolis the same price, precisely, that the ancient Egyptians paid for theirs. The Ptolemies expended the revenues which they raised by this taxation, mainly in a very liberal and enlightened manner, for the accomplishment of the purposes which they had in view. The building of the pharaohs, the removal of the statue of Serapis, and the endowment of the museum and the library were great conceptions, and they were carried into effect in the most complete and perfect manner. All the other operations which they devised and executed for the extension and aggrandizement of the city were conceived and executed in the same spirit of scientific and enlightened liberality. Streets were opened, the most splendid palaces were built, docks, piers, and breakwaters were constructed, and fortresses and towers were armed and garrisoned. Then every means was employed to attract to the city a great concourse from all the most highly civilized nations then existing. The highest inducements were offered to merchants, mechanics, and artisans to make the city their abode. Poets, painters, sculptors, and scholars of every nation and degree were made welcome, and every facility was afforded them for the prosecution of their various pursuits. These plans were all eminently successful. Alexandria rose rapidly to the highest consideration and importance, and at the time when Cleopatra, born to preside over this scene of magnificence and splendor, came upon the stage, the city had but one rival in the world. That rival was Rome. End of chapter 3.
End of chapter 3.
Chapter 4 of Cleopatra. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Calm Dragon. Cleopatra by Jacob Abbott. Chapter 4. Cleopatra's Father. Rome, the rival of Alexandria. Extent of their rule. Extension of the Roman Empire. Cleopatra's father. Ptolemy's ignoble birth. Ptolemy purchases the alliance of Rome. Taxes to raise the money. Revolt at Alexandria. Ptolemy's flight. Berenice. Her marriage with Seleucus. Cleopatra's early life. Ptolemy, an object of contempt. Ptolemy's interview with Cato. Character of Cato. Ptolemy's reception. Cato's advice to him. Ptolemy arrives at Rome. His application to Pompey. Action of the Roman Senate. Plans for restoring Ptolemy. Measures of Berenice. Her embassage to Rome. Ptolemy's treachery. Its consequences. Opposition to Ptolemy. The prophecy. Attempts to evade the oracle. Gabinius undertakes the cause. Mark Antony. His history and character. Antony in Greece. He joins Gabinius. Danger of crossing the deserts. Armies destroyed. Mark Antony's character. His personal appearance. March across the desert. Pelusium taken. March across the delta. Success of the Romans. Berenice a prisoner. Fate of Archelaus. Grief of Antony. Unnatural joy of Ptolemy. When the time was approaching in which Cleopatra appeared upon the stage, Rome was perhaps the only city that could be considered as the rival of Alexandria, in the estimation of mankind, in respect to interest and attractiveness as a capital. In one respect, Rome was vastly superior to the Egyptian metropolis, and that was in the magnitude and extent of the military power which it wielded among the nations of the earth. Alexandria ruled over Egypt, and over a few of the neighboring coast islands, but in the course of 3 centuries during which she had been acquiring her greatness and fame, the Roman Empire had extended itself over almost the whole civilized world. Egypt had been, thus far, too remote to be directly reached, but the affairs of Egypt itself became involved at length with the operations of the Roman power. About the time of Cleopatra's birth, in a very striking and peculiar manner, and as the consequences of the transaction were the means of turning the whole course of the Queen's subsequent history, a narration of it is necessary to a proper understanding of the circumstances under which she commenced her career. In fact, it was the extension of the Roman Empire to the limits of Egypt, and the connections which thence arose between the leading Roman generals and the Egyptian sovereign, which have made the story of this particular queen so much more conspicuous and as an object of interest and attention to mankind than that of any other one of the 10 Cleopatras who rose successively in the same royal line. Ptolemy Auletes, Cleopatra's father, was perhaps, in personal character, the most dissipated, degraded, and corrupt of all the sovereigns in the dynasty. He spent his whole time in vice and debauchery. The only honest accomplishment that he seemed to possess was his skill in playing upon the flute. Of this he was very vain. He instituted musical contests in which the musical performers of Alexandria played for prizes and crowns, and he himself was accustomed to enter the list with the rest as a competitor. The people of Alexandria and the world in general considered such pursuits as these wholly unworthy the attention of the representative of so illustrious a line of sovereigns, and the abhorrence which they felt for the monarch's vices and crimes was mingled with a feeling of contempt for the meanness of his ambition. There was a doubt in respect to his title to the crown, for his birth, on the mother's side, was irregular and ignoble. Instead, however, of attempting to confirm and secure his possession of power by vigorous and prosperous administration of the government, he wholly abandoned all concern in respect to the course of public affairs, and then, to guard against the danger of being deposed, he conceived the plan of getting himself recognized at Rome as one of the allies of the Roman people. If this were once done, he supposed the Roman government would feel under an obligation to sustain him on his throne in the event of any threatened danger. The Roman government was a sort of republic, and the 2 most powerful men in the state at this time were Pompey and Caesar. Caesar was in the ascendancy at Rome at the time that Ptolemy made his application for an alliance. Pompey was absent in Asia Minor, being engaged in prosecuting a war with Mithridates, a very powerful monarch who was at the time resisting the Roman power. Caesar was very deeply involved in debt and was, moreover, very much in need of money, not only for relief from existing embarrassments, but as a means of subsequent expenditure to enable him to accomplish certain great political schemes which he was entertaining. After many negotiations and delays, it was agreed that Caesar would exert his influence to secure an alliance between the Roman people and Ptolemy, on condition that Ptolemy paid him the sum of 6,000 talents, equal to about $6 million. A part of the money, Caesar said, was for Pompey. The title of ally was conferred, and Ptolemy undertook to raise the money which he had promised by increasing the taxes of his kingdom. The measures, however, which he thus adopted for the purpose of making himself the more secure in his possession of the throne, proved to be the means of overthrowing him. The discontent and disaffection of his people, which had been strong and universal before, though suppressed and concealed, broke out now into open violence. That there should be laid upon them, in addition to all their other burdens, these new oppressions, heavier than those which they had endured before, and exacted for such a purpose too, was not to be endured. To be compelled to see their country sold on any terms to the Roman people was sufficiently hard to bear, but to be forced to raise themselves and pay the price of the transfer was absolutely intolerable. Alexandria commenced a revolt. Ptolemy was not a man to act decidedly against such a demonstration, or, in fact, to evince either calmness or courage in any emergency whatever. His first thought was to escape from Alexandria to save his life. His second, to make the best of his way to Rome, to call upon the Roman people to come to the succor of their ally. Ptolemy left 5 children behind him in his flight. The eldest was the Princess Berenice, who had already reached maturity. The second was the great Cleopatra, the subject of this history. Cleopatra was, at this time, about 11 years old. There were also 2 sons, but they were very young. One of them was named Ptolemy. The Alexandrians, determined on raising Berenice to the throne in her father's place, as soon as his flight was known. They thought that the sons were too young to attempt to reign in such an emergency, as it was very probable that Aletes, the father, would attempt to recover his kingdom. Berenice very readily accepted the honor and power which were offered to her. She established herself at her father's palace and began her reign in great magnificence and splendor. In process of time, she thought that her position would be strengthened by a marriage with a royal prince from some neighboring realm. She first sent ambassadors to make proposals to the prince of Syria, named Antiochus. The ambassadors came back bringing word that Antiochus was dead, but that he had a brother named Seleucus, upon whom the succession fell. Berenice then sent them back to make the same offers to him. He accepted the proposals, came to Egypt, and he and Berenice were married. After trying him for a while, Berenice found that for some reason or other, she did not like him as a husband, and accordingly she caused him to be strangled. At length, after various other intrigues and much secret management, Berenice succeeded in a second negotiation and married a prince, or a pretended prince, from some country of Asia Minor, whose name was Archelaus. She was better pleased with the second husband than she had been with the first, and she began at last to feel somewhat settled and established on her throne, and to be prepared, as she thought, to offer effectual resistance to her father in case he should ever attempt to return. It was in the midst of the scenes and surrounded by the influences which might be expected to prevail in the families of such a father and such a sister, that Cleopatra spent those years of her life in which the character is formed. During all these revolutions and exposed to all these exhibitions of licentious wickedness and of unnatural cruelty and crime, she was growing up in the royal palaces a spirited and beautiful, but indulged and neglected child. In the meantime, Aletes, the father, went on toward Rome. So far as his character and his story were known, among the surrounding nations, he was the object of universal obloquy, both on accounts of his previous career of degrading vice, and now still more for this ignoble flight from the difficulties in which his vices and crimes had involved him. He stopped on the way at the island of Rhodes. It happened that Cato, the great Roman philosopher and general, was at Rhodes at this time. Cato was a man of stern, unbending virtue, and of great influence at that period in public affairs. Ptolemy sent a messenger to inform Cato of his arrival, supposing, of course, that the Roman general would hasten on hearing of the fact to pay his respects to so great a personage as he, a king of Egypt, a Ptolemy, though suffering under a temporary reverse of fortune. Cato directed the messenger to reply that, so far as he was aware, he had no particular business with Ptolemy. Say, however, to the king, he added, that if he has any business with me, he may call and see me, if he pleases. Ptolemy was obliged to suppress his resentment and submit. He thought it very essential to the success of his plans that he should see Cato and secure, if possible, his interest and cooperation, and he consequently made preparations for paying, instead of receiving, the visit, intending to go in the greatest royal state that he could command. He accordingly appeared at Cato's lodgings on the following day, magnificently dressed, and accompanied by many attendants. Cato, who was dressed in the plainest and most simple manner, and whose apartment was furnished in a style corresponding with the severity of his character, did not even rise when the king entered the room. He simply pointed with his hand and bade the visitor take a seat. Ptolemy began to make a statement of his case, with a view to obtaining Cato's influence with the Roman people to induce them to interpose in his behalf. Cato, however, far from evincing any disposition to espouse his visitor's cause, censured him, in the plainest terms, for having abandoned his proper position in his own kingdom, to go and make himself a victim and prey for the insatiable avarice of the Roman leaders. You can do nothing at Rome, he said, but by the influence of bribes, and all the resources of Egypt will not be enough to satisfy the Roman greediness for money. He concluded by recommending him to go back to Alexandria and rely for his hope of extrication from the difficulties which surrounded him on the exercise of his own energy and resolution there. Ptolemy was greatly abashed at this rebuff, but, on consultation with his attendants and followers, it was decided to be too late now to return. The whole party accordingly re-embarked on their galleys and pursued their way to Rome. Ptolemy found, on his arrival at the city, that Caesar was absent in Gaul, while Pompey, on the other hand, who had returned victorious from his campaigns against Mithridates, was now the great leader of influence and power at the capital. This change of circumstances was not, however, particularly unfavorable, for Ptolemy was on friendly terms with Pompey, as he had been with Caesar. He had assisted him in his wars with Mithridates by sending him a squadron of horse, in pursuance of his policy of cultivating friendly relations with the Roman people by every means in his power. Besides, Pompey had received a part of the money which Ptolemy had paid to Caesar as the price of the Roman alliance, and was to receive his share of the rest in case Ptolemy should ever be restored. Pompey was accordingly interested in favoring the royal fugitive's cause. He received him in his palace, entertained him in magnificent style, and took immediate measures for bringing his cause before the Roman Senate, urging upon that body the adoption of immediate and vigorous measures for effecting his restoration, as an ally whom they were bound to protect against his rebellious subjects. There was at first some opposition in the Roman Senate against espousing the cause of such a man, but it was soon put down, being overpowered in part by Pompey's authority and in part silenced by Ptolemy's promises and bribes. The Senate determined to restore the king to his throne and began to make arrangements for carrying the measure into effect. The Roman provinces nearest to Egypt were Cilicia and Syria, countries situated on the eastern and northeastern coast of the Mediterranean Sea, north of Judea. The forces stationed in these provinces would be, of course, the most convenient for furnishing the necessary troops for the expedition. The province of Cilicia was under the command of Consul Lentulus. Lentulus was at this time at Rome, he had repaired to the capital for some temporary purpose, leaving his province and the troops stationed under the command, for the time, of a sort of lieutenant general named Gabinius. It was concluded that this Lentulus, with his Syrian forces, should undertake the task of reinstating Ptolemy on his throne. While these plans and arrangements were yet immature, a circumstance occurred which threatened, for a time, wholly to defeat them. It seems that when Cleopatra's father first left Egypt, he had caused a report to be circulated that he had been killed in the revolt. The object of this stratagem was to cover and conceal his flight. The government of Berenice soon discovered the truth and learned that the fugitive had gone in the direction of Rome. They immediately inferred that he was going to appeal to the Roman people for aid, and they determined that if that were the case, the Roman people, before deciding in his favor, should have the opportunity to hear their side of the story as well as his. They accordingly made preparations at once for sending a very imposing embassage to Rome. The deputation consisted of more than 100 persons. The object of Berenice's government in sending so large a number was not only to evince their respect for the Roman people and their sense of the magnitude of the question at issue, but also to guard against any efforts that Ptolemy might make to intercept the embassage on the way, or to buy off the members of it by bribes. The number, however large as it was, proved insufficient to accomplish this purpose. The whole Roman world was at this time in such a condition of disorder and violence, in the hands of the desperate and reckless military leaders who then bore sway, that there were everywhere abundant facilities for the commission of any conceivable crime. Ptolemy contrived, with the assistance of the fierce partisans who had espoused his cause, and who were deeply interested in his success on account of the rewards which were promised them, to waylay and destroy a large proportion of this company before they reached Rome. Some were assassinated, some were poisoned, some were tampered with and bought off by bribes. A small remnant reached Rome, but they were so intimidated by the dangers which surrounded them that they did not dare to take any public action in respect to the business which had been committed to their charge. Ptolemy began to congratulate himself on having completely circumvented his daughter in her efforts to protect herself against his designs. Instead of that, however, it was soon proved that the effect of this atrocious treachery was exactly the contrary of what its perpetrators had expected. The knowledge of the facts became gradually extended among the people of Rome, and it awakened a universal indignation. The party who had been originally opposed to Ptolemy's cause seized the opportunity to renew their opposition, and they gained so much strength from the general odium which Ptolemy's crimes had awakened, that Pompey found it almost impossible to sustain his cause. At length the party opposed to Ptolemy found, or pretended to find, in certain sacred books, called the Sublime Oracles, which were kept in the custody of the priest, and were supposed to contain prophetic intimations of the will of heaven in respect to the conduct of public affairs, the following passage: If a king of Egypt should apply to you for aid, treat him in a friendly manner, but do not furnish him with troops, for if you do, you will incur great danger. This made new difficulty for Ptolemy's friends. They attempted at first to evade this inspired injunction by denying the reality of it. There was no such passage to be found, they said. It was all an invention of their enemies. This point seems to have been overruled. And then they attempted to give the passage some other than obvious interpretation. Finally, they maintained that, although it prohibited the furnishing of Ptolemy himself with troops, it did not forbid their sending an armed force into Egypt under leaders of their own. That they could certainly do, and then, when the rebellion was suppressed and Berenice's government overthrown, they could invite Ptolemy to return to his kingdom and resume his crown in a peaceful manner. This, they alleged, would not be furnishing him with troops, and of course would not be disobeying the oracle. These attempts to evade the direction of the oracle on the part of Ptolemy's friends only made the debates and dissensions between them and his enemies more violent than ever. Pompey made every effort in his power to aid Ptolemy's cause, but Lentulus, after a long hesitation and delay, decided that it would not be safe for him to embark in it. At length, however, Gabinius, the lieutenant who commanded in Syria, was induced to undertake the enterprise. on certain promises which he received from Ptolemy to be performed in case he succeeded, and with a certain encouragement, not very legal or regular, which Pompey gave him in respect to the employment of the Roman troops under his command, he resolved to march to Egypt. His route, of course, would lie along the shores of the Mediterranean and through the desert to Pelusium, which has already been mentioned as the frontier town on this side of Egypt. From Pelusium, he was to march through the heart of the delta to Alexandria, and, if successful in his invasion, overthrow the government of Berenice and Archelaus, and then, inviting Ptolemy to return, reinstate him on the throne. In the prosecution of this dangerous enterprise, Gabinius relied strongly on the assistance of a very remarkable man.
Hey, Karina, what's up?
Second in command.
Ernie's live now? Yeah, drop his link for me. Drop his link for me, Anthony. Do me a favor, bro.
Anthony was born in Rome.
All right, guys, man. I'll see you over there by
But his father died when he was
I'll see you over there by Ernie. I'll see you. I love y'all, man. I'll see you on the next one tonight because I gotta get to sleep. I got a job interview today. Karina, I got a job interview, Karina. Today, hopefully, I can get the job, man. I'm just tired of sitting here already like this.
And involved himself in consequence in inextricable difficulties. His creditors.
All right, guys. I'll meet you over there.
With importunities for money, and was